Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's very special Training Magazine Network webinar event. Is L&D ready for AI-generated video? Exploring the pros and cons with industry experts and Hollywood filmmakers. Look at all of the experts that we have here lined up today. We have Dan Krolczyk, Caleb Ward, Allan Rust, Juan Faisal, and Pakko de la Torre-Rocha, all here today, industry experts with great insights today on this very important subject and our ever-evolving training landscape. So you're in the right place for a great webinar. We want to also thank ELB Learning for making today's very special event possible. That's me. I'm Philip Rodriguez saying aloha from the Big Island of Hawaii. People are still saying hello. Where is everybody? Hi, Linda in Seattle. Welcome. Paul, welcome. Keep saying hello in chat. Who are you? What do you do? Where are you now? And what's it like? And don't forget to put your questions in at any time in chat for any of our great presenters. We're going to have a Q&A break at the end of today's session, but please put your questions in at any time, and we're going to queue them up for a Q&A at the end of today's session. Here's some great community events that I know that you'll want to register for. So go to trainingmagnetwork.com, simply click on your screen, and register for all of these great upcoming events. Do check the webinar calendar frequently because we have so many webinars coming up and adding to them all the time, and sometimes even multiple webinars in the same day. Like today, I think we have 3 webinars for you coming your way. So a lot of great content coming your way. Check that calendar frequently. The TMN or Training Magazine Network Choice Awards have opened up for voting. Here's a little bit more on that. And you can also actually, when you vote, click the vote now for your favorite partner or vendor here in Training Magazine Network for all of these categories that you see here. You'll be registered to possibly win a $100 US bank gift card. So go ahead, click vote now and register. Have that open. Do that after today's session. This will also post, of course, with the handouts and the like. For more information, you can just go to Choice Awards at training or contact Choice Awards at trainingmag.com if you have any questions. But we look forward to your votes, and vote now and vote for your favorite vendor and partner. Again, here it's a very important award to all of our great partners, and even ELB Learning here and Training Magazine Network. And also, ELB Learning has a member benefits and resources package available to all Training Magazine networks. You get the periodic table of design, and there are PowerPoint templates available also. And then with our special Training Mag Network Membership Plus program, that adds even more benefits that you receive from ELB Learning. And for more information on this and to access all of the benefits, just click on your screen and that will get you right there. I'm also going to put in chat for more information on all of these great benefits and the very important partnership here with ELB Learning and all of the resources that are available to you. Once again, thank you to ELB Learning for making today's event possible. For create better learning experiences, and for more information on all of the great things that ELB Learning does, just click on your screen. Go to elblearning.com. So now let's get today's event started with Dan, Caleb, Allan, Juan, and Pakko. Welcome all, one and all, to Training Magazine Network, everyone. And go ahead. Hi, Dan. I know you've got a lot of introductions here to do, or welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Philip. Thanks so much for that wonderful intro and all of the great messages. And we're equally proud to be active members and partners at your events, online, in person, at the big conferences. So Training Magazine is a great friend of ours. And thanks for your help in getting this set up. So my goal is to get into this quickly, get you to some great introductions. And by way of all the folks on, I'm going to do intros one at a time and jump right into individual sessions. And thank you everybody for joining us. I am so stoked with all of the activity I'm seeing in the chat, which is why I want to get into things quickly and get to a great Q&A session with everybody. So we're going to do quick intros with everybody individually. So you're going to meet 4 of the top creators that I help curate for this session, including Allan, who is with us at ELB Learning. Each of the individuals will talk about how they're currently using AI, show a couple of great examples, talk about some of the challenges and new developments in that category. And we'll start with a quick intro video.
We're a team of training content makers learning something new. In the world of AI video, there's so much we can do. With ELB Learning and experts, get ready to explore. With Pakko, Allan, Dan, Juan, and some more. With the digital dreamers riding the wave, create content with style and digital way. Learning together, pushing boundaries to make training play, to make videos that all elevate. It's a language of algorithms and pixels in our code. As we dive into the world where imagination unfolds. So buckle up, mute your mics and drop in some comments as we break some ground. Blending technology, creativity, the future is profound.
Hopefully you enjoyed that. It was a bit of an example of what happens when you let somebody tear it loose with some of the tools that were there. So I made that just having some fun with the category. Again, I'm Dan Krolczyk. I work at ELB Learning. That's my contact information in my email. If you got any questions afterwards, you can't find a fact, a figure, or something that we put in front of you, that's how you get to me. Our panelists are absolutely amazing, have worked on some amazing projects, have got everything from Super Bowls to Emmys to major brands and projects that they've worked for, including top choice award that our team has won here at ELB Learning for our work in the space in video content creation and AI creation as well. So a lot of stuff going on. We'll start with a survey and make sure Stephanie or Philip have that dialed into the chat here, but we're just curious right out of the gate, to what degree you and your company are using AI for video. So not using it at all, using it somewhat and have tried it, or actively using it for your projects. So this is great to kind of see the meters flow here as we go. We're seeing interesting. We're seeing like the using it somewhat, tried it number continue to grow. So that's great. We'll have the finished poll later. So make sure everybody got a chance to ping one of those. So that's really interesting. I'm sure if we did this next year, we'd see that number change. So real quickly, a bit about ELB Learning. We've got over 200 plus awards, 2,000 different learning experiences created, 500 plus global employees. Our team has created over 5,000 different video assets already. And, AI or not, this entire panel, we are huge fans of live action, custom animation, real human editing, live voiceover. We just want you, to know we're advocates of both AI and the real person talent that helped bring it here and is going to continue to develop it. ELB Learning has worked with all sorts of brands, including custom learning, gamification, Jeopardy for learning, like you name it. We help to build custom learning experiences and really help unlock employee potential. And if AI video is one of the things that is a solution, then bring it. We're ready to do it, including an AI platform that we've got called Scenario VR. We've got an AI wizard world builder inside our authoring platform in Scenario VR. So similar to some of the other environments in there, if you want to paint a 360 imagery for custom training and learning, you basically go in, prompt it just like any of the other tools, and you've got yourself an immersive original environment that you can tell a story with, create immersive learning, create different scenarios. So very similar. We've got some templates in there, but as you can see, you basically go in, prompt it with a different scene, and off you go with something that you can work with. AI demand video. The demand for AI video is continuing to soar. Over 14 million videos go to the social channels every month. YouTube just originally announced a new content rule that said all videos should be of high quality. So this applies to all types, whether it was generated by a human or an AI system. There are even 3 or more AI film festivals coming up in the next 60 days, including one that was just announced called the 72-hour Fast Film Festival from Pika, the AI Film Festival coming up here in Los Angeles, and another one in Europe. The volume of hype and news around AI video is absolutely peaking in Hollywood. I put these links in the takeaway, but if you look at the disruption and the news and both the embrace and the conversations that are happening around AI, this is an absolutely exciting time. We were having the pre-chat right before this call, and it's just amazing. The news that we talk about right now will be different in 15 days and 15 months. And it is, it is the I don't know, the curve is starting. The hockey stick is absolutely at the growth stage right now and continuing to soar. The other interesting thing is the tolerance of AI video. The cringe factor is quickly changing, right? So especially the youngest generation. So sentiment among millennials and Gen Z is continuing to be more accepting of AI video. 42% actually said that AI and humans can each produce entertaining content together. And then also the ability to determine the imposter. So this was a recent Harris poll, and just in the last few months. And what they found is 5 out of 8 videos shown, people couldn't tell which the real video was. This one right here was the top producer that people guessed wrong, real or is it AI. 60% thought this was real. A little Big Sur video here. This is a pretty interesting video that just came out from the Alibaba Institute for Intelligent Computing about lip flap and the new technology that's happening there. But if you look
I
at
think
this, I'll let
this
you hear
is
it.
right now an inflection point where we're sort of, redefining how we interact with digital information. And it's through, the form of these AI systems that we collaborate with. And maybe we have several of them, and maybe they all have different competences.
So pretty amazing there in terms of how quickly that technology is able to take a source and then a source audio file and then a reference video image and convert it into a talking avatar. The theme for this call, I just want to be clear, we could have 3 different AI discussions around litigation. So we want to focus more on inspiration and the fun side of things. We know that a lot of you are very active in the space around that content side of things. I really like to focus on AI video having faces. So fairness, accuracy, compliance, ethics, and security. You could really do a conversation and a webinar around each one of these, and all of our panelists, I think, are going to hit on some of the different topics that are there. But in the training category, compliance, ethics, security, all very big, very real concerns when it comes to anything in AI. I would encourage you to look at this and have conversations with your team about each of the different components of the faces side of video. So in general, a little tongue in cheek, if you want to, if you got questions about IT or legal, see the TV lawyers here, McBeal, Goodman, and Matlock, 3 different generations of great fake TV attorneys. Common needs in general that our team talked about when it comes to L&D content, address the faces slide we just talked about: scalability, speed, quality, adaptability, build on the engagement story, never lose the learner with bad content, customize that training to meet me being the learner and how I like to learn. And then making sure your content deals with preparedness and the L&D frequency that frequently mimics what the film industry does, right? You see the film do things like the Pixar style, and suddenly, we were creating content videos that look like Pixar, or a certain kind of animation, or a certain kind of speaker to camera. So we do see a lot of what Hollywood and what live action film and TV does, the training category does. So with that, let's start with one of our first panelists, Juan. Absolutely amazing, does some amazing content creation, is a subject matter expert podcaster in the space. I did put QR codes if you're into everybody, so you can quickly scan it, and it'll be at the end too, if you want to follow folks social or connect with them. But let's start with a video from Juan, and then he's going to talk about some of what's inside his video. Sound good? All right.
You might know AI-generated video allows you to scale production, but you might not know these 3 additional benefits.
Uno.
Do you have tons of scripts and no time for voiceovers? AI video allows you to clone your voice and produce text-to-speech videos that sound like you.
Dos.
Language barriers in learning? AI can instantly translate video content, simplifying localization and making education accessible to everyone.
Tres.
Are you short on time but big on learning? With AI video, you can transform your long-form training into quick, powerful micro lessons, making learning fast, focused, and fun.
And this is just the beginning.
Unlock a world where every voice is heard, every language is spoken, and every lesson is just the right size.
Is your learning department prepared for AI video?
Awesome. So with that, back over to Juan to talk about some of the subjects that you saw right there in that video and some of the tools you like and the challenges in this category, but you do a lot in this space.
Well, thank you all for being here. I'm very grateful to be here, in this panel with so many talented folks. And this video took from ideation to being done, 14 hours. I track and I was blown away, and I'm talking from jotting down in a napkin ideas. So that's wild, because when I think about what I was doing a year and a half ago, this would have taken maybe a month or more. Dan, you won't let me lie. So tools I love, I'm assuming. This video in particular, it started with Adobe Firefly. I just started creating graphic assets in Adobe Firefly and using 11 Labs for the voiceover. Those voices you hear, that's actually all me. And I put different skins with different voices, so you wouldn't hear that robotic voice that we hear sometimes in AI. You will notice that this one flows, it's more human. Sorry, go for it.
No, I was just going to play it on mute for you.
Okay, so that's all my voice. So first of all, I was blown away by that, and then Hyper, you will see the watermark there on some of the footage. I wanted to leave it there, because I want to be transparent about what I'm using. So yeah, I use Hyper to animate some of those static assets that I created with Adobe Firefly. Some other things, I was literally just kind of taking the hands off the steering wheel and seeing where Hyper took me. So it was a bit of a brainstorming partner, and that was super exciting. And then I use VMake for upscaling images. I think these images from Hyper, when you export, is 720. I wanted 4K in some cases. So I use VMake, and then CapCut, a tool I love, might not be as sexy image-wise, but it's really easy to create quick video with your phone, and use a lot of AI. Again, tools that might not be visually flashy, but for my day-to-day, they are such a time saver, right? And that's one important thing about AI. We can create some cool images, but also there's a lot about improving speed and brainstorming.
That's great.
Juan,
want to
talk about the challenges?
Yeah, think about some. You talked about some of the learning and design videos. What do you think are the challenges for this category?
I will quote my favorite fake quote from Napoleon, which is "Dress me slowly because I'm in a hurry," and I think this applies to AI. And when I work with a lot of instructional designers. And usually there's a bit of an overwhelm, and I don't blame them. You go on LinkedIn, and you got all these people telling you either you learn AI right now or your life is going to crumble, which to me feels a bit dramatic, because most folks, at the end of the day, we're in a bubble. Most folks still don't understand AI, right? So first of all, I would say try to shut down the FOMO. This is an amazing tool. Those of you that use Grammarly, that use Gmail, that use many day-to-day tools, you are already using AI, right? So think about your why. Why do you want to use AI? How can it help? And play. I think one of the things I love the most about AI is that it's reminding us all of that creative we have, and then life tries to beat out of us. But AI, it's just reinforcing the same way that when something breaks in the house, we're creative at fixing it. On Sunday night, we want to cook, and we have one onion, some potatoes, and we try to figure out what to eat. That's creativity. So we're all creative. And AI, it's sort of helping us remember how to play, how to have fun. And that usually translates to the end product. When I've been watching the videos all these folks created, and you can tell everybody was having fun doing this. So it's nice to have fun as well. And I think it's a good reminder, right? So I'll tell the folks, don't get overwhelmed. Pick something. You're going to hear about so many great tools, and just take your time to play with it and suck. It's okay if you're not great in the beginning. No one is. None of us, even those of us that do this for a living, we jump on a new tool. We got to learn about it.
Yeah.
But that's part of the fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you do a lot in terms of localization to multiple different languages. It seems like AI is a tool that can help expedite that process and minimize.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With AI, one of the things I do, and obviously, again, when you work with different markets, you do got to be aware of the cultural nuances, or that some translations that might sound good to our ears, as people that might not speak the language, we still have to run that through an SME. That's very important. Always keep the human in the loop. But even to create demos, when I want to see the pacing of a video, just being able to go into 11 Labs and put a script, translate it and run it with audio helps me figure out the beat of the video. And that's certainly time saver, and especially for instructional designers and content producers in education.
That's great. Some great points in here, and some of which I think we're going to hit in the recap. Like Lori had a great point about staying on corporate brand, which is really tricky. Pakko's got some great comments about prompts and text that will be coming up. But Juan, that was fantastic, and that reminds me, if you do have a question specifically to one of the experts, one of the pros here, make sure you say this is for Caleb for later, and then Stephanie will help us kind of prompt and review what's in there. So Juan, thank you so much. Fantastic work, and thank you for joining us. That, I wanted to queue up Caleb, and we're going to take a bit of a detour and a jump with the example here, because I love Caleb's submission for the project. So I'm actually going to have you just tell me what we're about to see, and I'm going to play it, and then we'll jump into a little bit more about what you do at Curious Refuge.
Yes. So the video that you're about to see was created by a fan of The Legend of Zelda. They were curious what a live action version of the Legend of Zelda series would look like if Peter Jackson directed it. So our in-house editor put this together, and we released it a few months ago as an experiment. And that is the video you are about to watch.
All right.
Enjoy.
Legend tells of an object of great power, capable of granting any wish to the one that holds it, shattered to pieces, and lost to the march of time.
A tall tale.
It was, until a piece was found. There is one who has the courage to save us. Zelda, you must find.
Link? I trust everything I've heard about you is true. What?
This summer, experience a blockbuster over 35 years in the making.
If we're to have any chance, we must unite the world against Ganon.
Gorons? Where were the Gorons when Lanayru fell? Ah, yes, a fair point. We're with you then.
Wait, can you understand him?
Starring Orlando Bloom as Link, Miranda Otto as Zelda, Viggo Mortensen as King Rogue, Kate Blanchett as the Great Fairy, Andy Serkis as the OK Fairy, and Owen Wilson as Ganondorf. Wow. The Legend of Zelda, directed by Peter Jackson.
I love it. I love it. Just in terms of made in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the ongoing joke. A lot of times when people post AI content online, they'll be like, "Hey, I made this in my coffee break," or like between my shift, and you're like, "Okay, come on." But that project, it takes work, just like any other creative endeavor. It takes work and creative taste to create one of these projects, and really the brains behind that project is an incredible comedy writer outside of artificial intelligence, but he was able to use these tools to create that trailer. That trailer would have costed us, I don't know, $500,000 to begin to shoot something like that. But he was able to put the concept together. And I think it's really cool. And it's actually really interesting. There's a lot of tangents we could go on here, but that idea of testing trailers using artificial intelligence is something that's fairly new. And we actually created some of the Wes Anderson parody trailers that were really popular last year. And we were talking to a trailer testing company, and they were saying how those trailers actually tested better than any other trailer that had been created in 2023. So hopefully they're nudging Wes to create his version of Star Wars, because that would be absolutely fantastic. But yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm Caleb. I'm the co-founder of Curious Refuge, the world's first online home for AI storytellers. We train artists at every major studio. We're in over 109 countries. We host AI film events. We have an active AI jobs board, gallery, all of the stuff that you would hope for from an emerging community. But ultimately, we are really, really passionate about helping everyday artists stay relevant, helping them to contextualize tools and really navigate the really confusing landscape that is artificial intelligence. And so it's a really fun community and very emergent. We were just reflecting on it earlier today, how our company has been around for 11 months and we have 10 team members already, which is just wild to think about. And so we contextualize AI. We have a weekly web show, and if you go to media, they're going to give you two very conflicting opinions about artificial intelligence, right? Time magazine said AI was one of the best inventions of 2022. And then about 6 months later, they ran the headline that said AI is the end of humanity. So, it's just all over the place. And I get it. Anytime we go through a shift in creative mediums, that happens. But, the big thing to remember with AI is it's changing the workflow when it comes to creating videos. It used to be in this waterfall method where we would go from pre-production to production, post-production, and then marketing and distribution. Now, each aspect of the production pipeline is being introduced into pre-production, and that feedback inside of the writer's room and inside the development room on being able to make changes to the film and to the final product is now, it's faster and it's more concise. And so I think that ultimately the quality of the films will increase, and the tools are only going to get better. Just to transition into some of the tools that are really exciting that we've been playing around with. Number one, we've been messing around with HeyGen and just taking our content and translating it into other languages. Again, this is basically drag and drop at this point. And the lip syncing, you don't have to just be talking to the camera now. You can have your head looking all around the lips. You can cover up and it still does an amazing job. So we've been using that. But also just exploring AI tools for everything from cinematography, very soon, and we'll talk about it on the web show that goes live tomorrow, how literally in the future, we will be able to capture a scene with cameras and then direct our cameras in post and frame up and really think about cinematography in an entirely new way. And so I guess if I could just bring this, because we tend to talk a lot about video production and Hollywood, but specifically for learning and development, the ability for AI to take content that you are trying to share, whether it is through traditional video production pipelines where you need an asset and you're trying to explain something, but capturing that asset through traditional cameras or animation would be really challenging. That is a very easy and no-brainer use of the technology. We use it in our training all of the time to illustrate points, but also, just using it as a creative workflow. For example, right now I am doing this video on my laptop, right? And I'm not using a special microphone. It probably sounds okay, but probably not perfect. But whenever we shoot our web show, I actually use my laptop for the audio, and we run it through Adobe's Podcast Enhance tool. And the audio, after you use that tool, which again is drag and drop, there's no technical prowess required whatsoever. It sounds like it was recorded in an incredible microphone. And so our team, because they're experienced in traditional video production pipelines, are able to get so much more out of these tools than somebody who is not as experienced in what that pipeline would look like. But at the end of the day, we really just feel like AI is a creative assistant, and it really just amplifies the creative potential of the person using it. So that's my quick little spill.
Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely would recommend checking out Caleb's page, following him on YouTube. He has some amazing videos that are crushing it with millions of views. You are, giving away some of the great, original IP in this space to say, here's how you just get started. Give me 2 or 3 of your favorite softwares right now that are, on your desktop. And we have a list, just so everyone, a few folks were asking. There's a list of a whole bunch of suggestions, but you're going to hear some common themes. But maybe 2 or 3, Caleb, that you love.
Of course. So I'll just go through my quick tool set. ChatGPT, GPT-4 for text and language model. MidJourney for images. It has repeater codes where you can get like 160 generations in just a few seconds. For video, we like to use Hyper or Runway. Runway is the best platform. We don't have access to Sora right now, so we can't use that. And then anytime you're working with artificial intelligence, you need to up-res it to get maximum quality, to interpolate, all those technical things. And for that task, I use Topaz Video AI. It's like a one-time fee. It's a little expensive. It's like $250, but they keep updating it. You kind of have like lifetime access, and I love their tools. So we also have a tools page over on. We rank them. We tell you why we like certain ones and why we don't like certain ones. And this slide right here really just illustrates just the fact that the core skill that I think is so important moving forward is your ability to curate and direct and pick and choose the generations that you get from artificial intelligence. We are now going to be inundated with output, and it's up to you as a human to use your creative taste to pick and choose the right asset for the story that you're trying to tell.
That's great. Fantastic. Thanks, Caleb. Very cool work. Very fun to follow. I'm going to keep it on the creative side of things and bring it back. Caleb is in Burbank area. We're going to keep it in California here and send it over to Pakko. And why don't we're going to jump right into your trailer, Pakko, and then have you talk through some of the why you selected a few things. There's a few things that when you see the text come on, it's because there's a few things we actually had Pakko show us a few examples, but you guys will get it as soon as it starts.
Not just illumination, but a beacon calling to the core of who we are, to rise, to transcend. In this breath before ascent, we find the courage that whispers of tomorrow. Adidas, begin your odyssey.
Neon lights that blind in my eyes as I drive through the city in the dead of the night, lost in the maze of these empty streets, searching for answers, feeling the heat. There's a place called Polanco where secrets hide. The walls of the loft so tall and grand, we're trapped inside. It's a different way of path.
In this city of lost dreams where anything can be.
Yo, what you got there, fool?
This is Los Angeles.
So the audio is going to fade out, and we'll bring Pakko back in. But speaking of characters, you're an absolute boss. I think Caleb was talking about really directing, the software and prompting. Pakko, you're in the chair and you are bossing the software and telling it what to do. But yeah, talk about your vision here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. So I am a creative director working for Havas, which is one of the largest ad agencies in the whole world, based out of Paris with an office in Dubai. So I work out of the Dubai office, but I come back and forth between Dubai and LA. And you know how it is throughout the years. Everything needs to be more faster, more efficient, looking for a way to save money, looking for a way to make everything shorter in time frame when it comes to productions, and of course, everything related to video. So the past year, the technology with AI has allowed us to quickly develop prototyping before spending a lot of money. Prototyping before having to convince people. It's an easier way to present concepts in order to get them produced and finalized. And sometimes it's a lot better than just showing a storyboard. Let's say you have a training program that requires like specific things. If you show a prototype, usually kind of quality, it's a lot easier to get pushed to production like that. So you can do a hybrid combination of like production and a hybrid combination of like maybe some videos, some real film videos, and the possibilities are limitless. So my job is making sure it looks extremely high quality using unique tool, unique processors, everything like that. And I don't think there's been a better time than to just keep on experimenting than today's time. Today's time is amazing. So we're going to show you a list of some of the tools that I use to make some of this stuff. And that way you have the unlimited possibility to do anything. Did I lose you then?
Yeah, earlier, before the call started, you were talking about bringing in reality. So a lot of brands are concerned about getting their brand on point and how to alternate between don't use AI for this, and you may want to import an image or import the text. Can you talk about that a little bit when you're trying to stay on brand and on point?
Yeah, right now, for example, at Havas Global, there's an issue going on with MidJourney because we don't know how exactly the databases on all the training has been, being made behind the scenes. So therefore, there are certain ways to avoid falling into the pit trap, like that kind of legal issue. And Adobe Firefly has the only, as of now, I don't know in the future, but as of now, Adobe Firefly has a very unique agreement with lawyers, the actual like royalty-free situation in order to not cross the line in certain things. I think it's one of the safest methods to do that. You can also have what they call a stable diffusion and then have your own data, meaning that data will not touch anything that's copyright. So you can customize it that way using stable diffusion, which is another tool. So to answer your question then, this is completely safe to do if you know what you're doing. And this is for the visual part, like MidJourney or this other image generator, like the visual part. Because when it comes to motion, that's completely different. That's a whole different thing. You can just animate in many forms. So,
can you talk about you're working on a major auto brand? Are you able to talk about how they're using AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the Middle East, there's MG Motors, which is a British company with over 100 years old motor company, and sometimes required to use live footage with AI background or AI component in order to speed up the process of that. So MG let us doing that. So it's kind of like they want to do it, they want to make it happen. So we have been able to integrate AI in a way that's ethical and at the same time make it like amazing quality and support. So that's one of the projects. This is more coming up at the line. Like right now, for example, I'm doing something for Adidas as well, but that's in Dubai. And they're very happy to try AI. But you have to be upfront and you have to show them that this is completely safe and why and how it's supported. If you show those steps, it'll be totally fine. But if you just show up with no explanation or some sort of like a ethical process, it will cause some problem down the line.
Great point. Which kind of brings us to layering, right? You said you used it for backgrounds, right? And you use the actual car photo. Allan, you've got some of this in your video. So you talk about how you use different tools for different pieces of the creative process. So do you want to prep it, or should I jump right into the video and let it roll?
Yeah, I'll just say a little hi for number one. I haven't spoke yet, so
yeah.
I'm Allan Rust, creative director for ELB Learning, and aside from assigning various creative personnel to projects and approving instructional design at ELB, I get to execute a lot of the custom creative personally, which is awesome. This covers user experience, interface design, wireframing, and prototyping, and of course, video and VR, and extending LMS interactions pretty much. A lot of what I do requires uncovering new solutions. There's always something new that we need to solve, and that includes generative AI. From my perspective, as of today, for the use cases in learning and design, AI video still looks a little too mushy. I like to use mushy footage as a term. It works great. I mean, when I say mushy footage, I mean when it comes to longer clips, when you're trying to let AI do too much for you. And, it's not really there yet for producing full-fledged pieces for you. You still need storytelling chops and post-production skills. You have to kind of take pieces of the puzzle and put them together. And what I mean by that is, we just don't want to rely on AI entirely to execute your entire story. It's still very much in beta, but it's coming for sure. I want to show the first clip on here. Just many of you have probably already seen it, but for those who haven't, let's just check it out.
Well, they say everyone has something unique about them, something that sets them apart. It's just in my case, it's quite obvious what that thing is. I am literally filled with hot air. Yeah, living like this has its challenges. Windy days, for one, are particularly troublesome. Or there was the one time my girlfriend insisted I go to the cactus store to get my Uncle Jerry a wedding present. Ugh. What do I love most about my predicament? The perspective it gives me. I get to see the world differently. I float above the mundane and the ordinary. I see things a different way from everyone else. Yeah, and I feel like it's because of that perspective I'm reminded every day that life is fragile. We're all just a pinprick away from deflation. So I try to live life with a lightness, a buoyancy, a joie de vivre. I got a lot of ideas keeping this thing full. With any luck, I'll find a way to share them with everyone else.
So that's a short film essay by Shy Kids using the new Sora platform from OpenAI. Pause it for a second here. Just pause it for a second, Dan, if you don't mind. The rest of it can run when I get to it. But, a piece like this is the latest and arguably the most impressive text-to-video generator thus far. But none of us have access to it yet, right? So while we wait for the access, and the question kind of remains, what is making AI-generated video compelling? We already know it's going to continue to be an incredible production tool, allowing us the freedom to try out endless visuals without having to go out and shoot a single frame. But can it tell a compelling story? Well, did AI create the story we just watched? No, it didn't. I would argue that it's the humans behind this execution, writing the story, compiling all the usable renders, and the comedic timing of the edit. Without the quirky dialogue, the carefully paired sound effects and music, our eyes would drift and focus towards all the errors in the footage. And there's plenty of errors there, right? The inconsistencies of the objects would, certainly pull us out of the story if it wasn't a good story to begin with. I would say that video clips themselves alone can't hold a candle to, this type of execution would, if we didn't have a great story, you could do better with stock video and tracking a balloon on somebody's head. You would get better execution of the visuals. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that AI is still
while it's the most incredible tool to help us, filmmakers and instructional designers, it's far from, it's just the beginning. It's got a long ways to go. The most exciting parts of using AI generation is the give and take that happens. This is, someone have already mentioned this, that even the mushy random errors aren't always a bad thing. It can actually inspire new ideas, steer storytellers into new territories, less like a tool and more like a partner, like a creative muse. So often when you're looking for something specific, it spits out something you didn't expect and it spurs a totally different idea. And so it feels sometimes like a creative muse. So regardless of how any of us use the tool without any hold on, Dan, without, good storytelling skills, AI is just another resource. So we can rejoice that us humans are still required to generate compelling stories. So, okay, now we're going to get into the, some of this stuff. So how do we make use of AI where it stands today? ELB, we focus on generating small assets. So this video is using compiled bits and pieces of assets and animating them together.
Should I
Go
mute
ahead,
it?
you can unmute it. Yeah, unmute it.
Uncover transmission modes and gather more samples on site where the outbreak began. Best of luck.
So a lot of what we do is build cutscenes for gamified learning. And so what I like to do, I'm going to show some behind the scenes, is go into MidJourney, compile and try to find the exact look I want. I usually start from the center and build out and keep iterating and iterating until I can create a comp scene. And then use same thing for characters. You iterate and iterate until you find what you're looking for. And a lot of times, like in this case, it's a period piece. It's very hard to find stock art like this. You got to build it, right? So that's where AI really shines. But you've got to comp it together. AI wouldn't give you this crisp view on its own. Here's an example of the same use case. It's not video, but this is interactive game learning. And we get to be able to move across a scene and interact with objects. And in order to do that, we're comping together a bunch of things in MidJourney in this case. And then once you have it all together, you can, with layers, move a piece like this. And you've got a nice crisp interaction, turns into a game that we can use. So again, focusing on small aspects, these are just small aspects, and then animating those. All of these are AI generated, but they're pieces of the puzzle. And then the human in you takes them and puts them together, and together we're magic. So here's a more kind of small piece. A static image usually used in instructional design. You could take, I generated this in MidJourney, but then used Pika and said, hey, give me just a small animation here, and it kind of brings it to life. And this is very, very easy. This is kind of the lowest hanging bar for instructional. Here's another example of kind of the lowest hanging. Go get an image that makes sense for you, take it into Photoshop, and with their AI generative, expand the scene, get the additional elements you need. And then of course I'm circling the eyes here because what I'm looking for is a blink. So Photoshop's AI is rendering that for me. Now I've got two blink scenes and add a few other elements in After Effects. And now you've got something that is a little more compelling than a static image. Another example here kind of relates to localization. This is an interactive piece that, because it's a global company, we've got multiple languages to worry about. And that's fairly easy to do when it comes to all the contextual data inside. We just have iterations. But when it comes to all the videos that we created within it, well, of course, we've got closed captioning that we can use, and we can also use overdubbing. But then we did a test, and this is using a company called Mars, Monsters, Aliens, Robots, and Zombies. If I'm sure in the film industry know, here's their test that they did for us.
Introducing the Professional Get Unblocked, our pore clearing, makeup removing cleansing oil.
تقوم بإزالة المكياج بعد ملامسته. هذا الزيت المغذي الخفيف الوزن يتحول إلى مستحلب حليبي
剔除并溶解困在毛孔中的污垢和油脂。Dans vos pores.
Get Unblocked utilise des huiles issues de graines de jojoba,
sos esenciales para nutrir y acondicionar la piel.
세라마이드 MP 그리고 피부를 편안하게 하는 비사보롤이 함유되어 있습니다.
to help the skin feel comfortable.
So it might be in this webinar, it's all breaking up, but it's pretty spot on. Here's another example of motion capture, no green screen, no anything. I'm using just me in a room, and then I pick out a character. It's capturing, obviously capturing my motion, rendering over, and then of course voice replacement.
In a live action scene to witness the questionable wordplay between Sarah and
Amaya. Is this a possible policy violation? Get
into the fray and do your part to influence a more inclusive workplace culture.
So that was using Wonder Dynamics for the actual motion capture and replacement, and then the voice replacement of my voice was using a product called Respeecher. What I like about all of these tools is that from a one person's perspective, you could write the script, you could pull up ChatGPT, get your script honed, go shoot yourself in a room and replace it with a character, and then replace your voice. I do a lot of voice replacements. It's unfortunate that a lot of voiceover actors are not getting business anymore from us, or I shouldn't say us, from me. Because a lot of times we'll have a build that requires all these different actors. And what's nice about the AI replacement is that I can act it all out. Me as a creative, I know how they should speak. I know the interactions. Text to voice on AI just doesn't do it when you're talking about dramatic scenes, when you're talking about reacting to characters. They're still a little too robotic right now. You got to mess with them too much. So acting it out yourself on a mic right here at my desk, I can replace 12 different characters for a scene, and it doesn't matter if it's a woman or man, any age. It's just been really freeing and allows us to move really, really quickly. So that's my spiel.
That's awesome. I love the behind the scenes. It was like the Blu-ray edition or extra piece, deep scenery here. So Blu-ray was just dated myself there. I think you all hit on some of the great takeaways for L&D. We compiled some of these notes ahead of time, but you heard it. Use different tools. Considering layering different tools, sound effects, voiceover, AI's role, and all of those things. Think about this for short B-roll. Direct and prompt like a boss. Track your subscriptions. That's another thing too. Like if you're signing up for a company account, you end up people with like running 6 different trial subscriptions and even forgetting which one you were in. Another great thing in L&D is retheme your elements. You can refresh some content like Allan showed, pulled in some of your own old stuff and put a winter theme on it. Assign your staff. It doesn't even have to be your production team. You're going to find that there's people on your associated, different teams that are using it for different tools out there, and have a discussion around it. Keep the elements short and fun. Ask Gen Z what they think for sure. They're finding out new things on their iPhone and then Instagram immediately before Hollywood knows about it, and trying new things. I just mentioned that all of the free trials prepare for upgrades. You see this all the time. Pakko and I were just talking about it today. You go in on a free plan or a paid plan, or if you're on a free plan, they can suddenly have bandwidth issues. If you're tying it to an active project, that could sneak up on you where suddenly you can't get things done. Things to avoid and be aware of. Eating food, is still tricky. Complicated hand gestures, manipulating people in a scene. Hence, maybe why you want to hire some professional help. Like Allan was talking about, like we couldn't have done all of the keys and that storytelling without taking the time to really put some great editing time behind it. We mentioned earlier when it comes to brands like words, text, typography on screen. If you put in Pepsi Cola into any one of the tools, it's going to flip around, and because they're not allowed to do that, it's going to change it, and then your team's going to be trying to fix it. But what we realize is AI, it takes practice, frequency, scrutiny, spot checking, coaching your team, but it will be amazing. Some of the tools that we talked about, they're on this list. They're on the takeaway here. These are the majority of some of the tools that we suggested that you look into. One of the things we came up with at ELB is just sometimes you just want to spend some time with a professional. So We have a package that includes 15 hours of consultation. You know what? That could just be a strategy session. It might be a content assessment. It could be some degree of, outputting, whatever content. This is a great starter package if you need help, if you want to we call it a kickstart program. And if you want to take action on this by the 20th, we're going to add 2 more bonus hours on top of it. I'm going to leave just a few minutes here if Philip lets us for some final Q&A. But this brings us up to another poll, and that is, now that you've seen, do you plan to use it? So Stephanie or Philip, I think we want to queue up. There we go. So based on what you saw today and based on generative AI video, will you be using it for your training? So, wow, 60 to 70, 69%, about 36% maybe, 0 no. So that's very interesting. And with that, let's go to a little Q&A, and maybe Stephanie found 1 or 2 questions.
Well, Dan, I can't say enough about what an amazing presentation here, and thank you to all of you. I'm just putting in some of the main questions that we polled. If you'd like to review them and answer them, and maybe package them together as needed. Give you a moment, and still there's also more questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and put those in here too. You can see in the main chat still questions coming in.
That's great. And do we have bonus minutes here, or do we need to wrap in?
Yeah, absolutely. If you gentlemen can stay and let people know, because we had such a dynamic session here today, we want to keep it rolling. So we'll, oops, sorry, let me go back here. We'll go ahead and keep the recording continuing, and so we can continue here with the Q&A by all means.
I could field this first question here from Bill Stafford. How are these videos embedded into learning development software like Articulate and Captivate, and will the file size overwhelm some LMSs? So just because it's AI doesn't mean it's any different than any other video. The output is video, and you would import it as an embed file, and you can do that either in the software itself, and if the file's too big, then you can host it somewhere else and stream it. Both versions work as an embed, so that's my spiel on that. So shouldn't be any tougher than any other type of video or asset like that. Yeah, and then I'll just say this, Andrew, you're seeing these videos at like 15 frames per second. It's true. It's probably they were less impressive because of the stutter that we get, but it probably has to do with the bandwidth.
That's great.
Are we hosting them? Are they going to be available? It'll be available with the recording. I don't know if the recording is better.
The links to all of those videos are in that handout that we have. So that first handout, takeaway from ELB, you can see the links to all of the videos that were shown today.
Thanks.
Lori Preston said how complicated. I'm just going down from the top and fielding ones I think I could field. How complicated is it to visually stay on corporate brand, look and feel? From my perspective, AI is not going to do that for you that well. But when it comes on I do more imagery based stuff and then animate it after the fact. So when it comes to MidJourney, we've got nice tools where you can actually put hex codes of actual brand colors, and it will meet those colors. Your scenes will be locked right into that color. So that's great. I don't know if anybody else can speak to the video side of that. But I would suspect that it takes a lot of post-production. You still need that human touch to kind of bring all that branding together.
Yeah, I would just echo that, from especially a corporate perspective, and if we're talking about motion design videos or really dynamic movements, AI, not very good at this point. And so AI is very good at generating imagery, and especially when you're working in conjunction with some some skills, whether it's in Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, and converting those outputs into vector formats, or really fine tuning those hex codes. Because even sometimes when you use the specific hex codes in MidJourney, I'm sure you've seen this, Allan, sometimes it'll just be like different shades that are still slightly off. And you're like, okay, I need to really fine tune this. It's just all part of the process. And so really anyone that has creative skills and is used to these workflows outside of AI will know how to contextualize AI for getting them on brand.
Yeah, and those would be the tools that, if you're already doing video, you'd be using, your video editor to do color correction. If it's static imagery, you're probably using Photoshop or something like that to augment imagery, kind of like what you saw in some of the tutorials there.
I would like to answer Jose's question about the meme, because I totally get where you're coming from, Jose. And my advice on this one, and for you that works on L&D, that the training programs need to align with the organizational objectives, right? So when you're using AI, think about your why. Don't go for the shiny toy, right? Like AI can be amazing, but it's an ends to a mean. So think, how can you support? Maybe you're doing a training for kids on sharks. Well, then probably creating the video on sharks would be pretty useful. Do we need to do a whole movie? Maybe not. So always, the same way that when you think about learning objectives, think about what do we want them to feel? Why are we doing this? It's the same questions you're already asking yourselves when you create educational content, right? Go back to those learning objectives, go back to your organizational objectives.
Yeah, I think just piggybacking on that, I think a lot of this comes down to keeping it small. Render smaller things that you can comp together. That is, at least right now, the best way to get the sharpest, cleanest. I think someone was talking about how just that muddy feel you kind of get. I think when you're trying to generate too many prompts within one execution, it's you're gonna have trouble getting that stable look. So focus on smaller things and piece them together. And granted, that takes a little more work on the post-production side, but still, you could do it with one person. What else is there?
There's a question about referencing the source material from Brian in the video credits. Are any of you guys running across that where people are looking for that? I'm sure it depends which software you're using.
It depends. What I would say, and again, I'm not a lawyer, not representing any of you, pay for a lawyer, or so that's a safer option. But I would say for public facing, you want to find out how those LLMs are being trained, where they're sourcing the data. For example, MidJourney, like some of the folks were saying here, that's great for internal brainstorming, playing around, getting kind of like a sense of how the tools work. But when you're going to create training for a client, especially for big corporations that are a magnet for lawsuits, you do want to make sure that you're talking to all the stakeholders, making sure that if there's a legal process, that you're following that, And in that sense, usually when I work with clients, we use the Adobe suite of tools because that's a corporate safe option, right? But then for the back end, like Pakko was saying, I think Caleb too, just go crazy. If you need to ideate, create storyboards, as long as they're not public facing and that you're very clear on where to source each asset, you're good. It's nothing different than what you're doing right now when you work for a client. I need to clear things with legal.
Yeah, I know that at the NVIDIA conference a few weeks ago, a lot of people were having the similar questions, and a lot of the big players like Adobe and Shutterstock are making a very big point around our ethically sourced original IP library. So if you are using one of the major players in terms of that space, again, keeping this more on the creation side versus litigation. But definitely think about the vendors you're using and look into their terms and conditions. Let's see what else. It is 5 minutes after our time. And one, I want to thank, there's still over 130 people on the call. So thank you to everyone who participated. Amazing energy, great questions from the team. Again, you can email me if you've got any direct follow-up with any of the folks. ELB would be thrilled to meet with your university, your business, your NGO, your nonprofit, and help with any ideas, again, it's free to just give us a call and talk shop and kick some things around. Again, we'd be happy to partner you up with our own ELB studio team, Allan, or any of the guys on the call, Pakko, Juan, or Caleb. Thank you again for your time and your prep going into this. Absolute pioneers in the space, and it'll be. I mean, check back on any of these 4 in on a week, in 30 days, in a year, and you're going to see so much new cool stuff. And again, thank you to everybody. You guys are pioneers for being on the call and figuring out new stuff. And we would encourage you and invite you, connect with us on LinkedIn. Send us what you're doing. Like, we are all still learning in the space. Like my first funny song said, we are pioneers. We're all wizards, figuring out new recipes and ways to do things. So please share your best work if you can with us. We'd love to see it, and hope to do another one with Philip and with Training Magazine and ELB all together. So thank you all. Have a great day.
Dan, thank you so much. I just switched our view. If you wouldn't mind putting that slide back up with the QR codes on the screen share, that would be great. And there is a new pod here for those of you who stuck it out and still in the room and had all those great questions. Thanks, Dan. Put in your most useful idea or takeaway. I know all of our experts here would like to see what might you use right away, or what did you find most useful? Please take a moment and answer that in the new pod. You can also print out a certificate of participation by going to today's event. The link is right there, and logging into Training Magazine Network. And then you can see how to print out a certificate of participation. What a great session here today. I know people are going to be clamoring for the recording right away. We're going to post it a little bit later today with all of the handouts that were provided, including the resources handout that ELB Learning provided. So once again, thank you to ELB Learning for making today's event possible. Dan, Pakko, Juan, Allan, and Caleb, well done. Just a tremendous session. We're just scratching the surface, I know. And here we go. It's going to be a interesting year, decade, and so, moving forward, isn't it?
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah, yes, it is. And if you guys don't mind, real quick, we actually are going to be in Las Vegas at NAB this next week. So if anyone watching this stream will be at that event, we're hosting an AI filmmaking party. And it's the world's first creative AI esports tournament. We'll have AI generated cocktails, an AI selfie station, and the winners are getting AI generated trophies. So we worked with an artist to ask AI to create the schematics for these trophies, and they put them together. They're absolutely bonkers. It's amazing. So would love to see you out there.
While we're queuing that up, why don't you maybe put the link to that in the chat, Caleb, if you can? That would be great.
Of
course. There's also Air Show, AI Revolution Show from ASU GSV. That is this weekend in San Diego. So man, there's just Google AI, generative AI content creation events. There's one in every market, but Caleb's right spot on, going directly to NAB and the beast of the belly of the beast there in terms of content creation and shaking things up with AI. What else? Anything else, Philip? We need to head off again.
I think you've given enough information for us to digest, all of you. Thank you. And once again, thanks to ELB Learning for making today's event possible. Well done. And we look forward, as Dan said, to seeing you back, Dan, and everyone at ELB Learning and all of the great collaborators that you can get to us on the subject. And look, you're doing a special effect there. I like that. Very, very nice finish. And thank you all for attending today's event. We look forward to seeing you back here at Training Magazine Network for another great webinar. Again, very, very soon. Thank you all.
Thanks. Take care.